24-13 is the final. Michigan loses on the road in Norman, Oklahoma, to the Oklahoma Sooners today. Sam, it was just one of those weird games where Oklahoma kept giving them chances, kept giving Michigan chances to stay in this game, and it just Michigan could never really capitalize. I think the third quarter, we could say, was that opportunity. Wolverines only came away with 13 points, 3 points off turnovers, right? I mean, every time missed field goal, Michigan really just got a field goal on that opportunity. Just not enough today overall for Michigan. We could go back to the first quarter, wherever you want to start with this, Sam, but it's just I just feel like the big phrase of this game is missed opportunity. Why don't you just give me your overall thoughts right now?
Yeah, I want to start out giving credit to Oklahoma. I don't want to make it be about what Michigan didn't do. That
Right.
takes credit away from John Mateer, who I think was the best player on the field. He lived up to the hype. The question was, could he take what he was doing basically in the Pac-2, Mountain West kind of deal and do it at this level? And he did. There were, to your point about missed opportunities, when there were opportunities to make plays, run through tackles, break tackles and make plays and, make big throws down the football field. He made them, right? Michigan had opportunities to, make big plays, taking them down in the backfield, make big interceptions. I mean, there was the one he threw right to him, but there were other times they had chances to squeeze balls and they didn't get those interceptions. They didn't make those big sacks. When he had opportunities to break those tackles and make those big throws, he made them. That's what big time players do in those big time moments. So you got to give them credit and give him credit for making those plays. Now, at the same time, to your point, after giving him that credit and giving them that credit, they won every phase. They won defense, they won offense. They, from a strategic standpoint, from a coaching staff standpoint, you got to give their coaches credit too. They won every aspect. Want to tip the cap. But you're right. Michigan had their opportunities for all the phases that they were winning. Michigan still had its chances. It's a one-score game. Late in the fourth quarter, Michigan still had its shot to win this game or to tie this game late, and they just couldn't capitalize. Josh, to your point. So.
Yeah, and I want to tip your cap to Oklahoma and that John Mateer and that offense. We've heard this. Going back to Harbaugh talking about the last 4 minutes of the first half and the second half, and what did OU do in both to close out both halves? Right, first half they went down, they scored a touchdown right before the half to go up 14-0. That was a clutch drive. Mateer made an incredible throw down the sideline on a third down. And he seemed like he did that very Johnny Manziel-like type plays, eluded the defender, made an insane pass. I mean, tip your hat to that. And then what did they do at the end of the game? An 8-minute plus drive, take it down, they get the field goal, ice the game. I mean, he did what a winning quarterback's supposed to do. So he really proved himself today because I think eventually Michigan's defense just got tired at the end. But, I mean, he did it. He earned it. They did everything they needed to do to win this game. And Michigan has it has to lick their wounds and another, road loss and just sort of figuring out, like going back to the drawing board. They got to figure some things out because, I mean, you got Central next week and then you're going to Nebraska and that's going to be another tough environment. I mean, I went out there a few years ago. That's not going to be an easy place to play.
So I think it's a game of adjustments, man. And I think they have some decisions to make because, look, Oklahoma couldn't run the football.
No.
All right. And Michigan really couldn't run the football, but for the big run that they had. Couldn't run it consistently. So, and credit to Justice Haynes. That was a terrific. I think it was a quad power. He showed terrific vision. They needed that play coming out of the half. So, quad power. He, your guard pulls, and he's about to follow Brady up into the hole, and he sees the cutback lane. He cuts back, and it is off to the races. It is beautiful. Mm-hmm. But other than that, there is not a lot of running room in this game.
No.
And nothing consistent anyway. And So what is Michigan doing consistently offensively? On the other side of the ball, they never really found anything consistently with their running back. So what did they do? They were running their quarterback all night long.
Yep.
He was their running game. And to me, in the absence of being able to run the football consistently with your running back when they are playing with abandon against your running game, they're being reckless. They were playing Michigan's bubble game really aggressively, right? They are basically maxing against you in the run. If you're going to play conservative with your quarterback, in the pass game, I just don't. I've never called plays. I always qualified that, but I just don't think you can be conservative with him all the way around. Like if you're going to be conservative with him in the pass game, you can't be conservative with him in the run game. You can't. You got to choose one thing to just be aggressive with him in, right? And so I referenced the Penn State game. People call that was a conservative approach. Call that a conservative approach. It wasn't conservative in the run game. They were coming at JJ in the offense really aggressively with their rush, really coming at them off the edges with their linemen. And Michigan was getting outside their rush using JJ in the run game, their +1 run game. Quarterback pin and pulls getting to the outside. Quarterback sweeps getting to the outside. They were getting outside their rush with the run game using the quarterback. And I just thought they were going to use Bryce more in the run game. I don't know if that was necessarily an elixir. It just felt like it was really conservative how they used Bryce in this contest all the way around. And I feel like moving forward, they're going to have to choose something, whether maybe it's not using Bryce more in the run game, but if it's not using Bryce more in the run game, they're going to have to decide, okay, we're going to let him throw it 30 times. But
Right.
I just don't think they can just be conservative all the way around. They're going to have to be aggressive with him one way or the other.
Yeah, we're on the same page there, Sam. I thought, Oklahoma came into this game. They're like, we're going to push our chips in the middle. We're going to do whatever it takes to win. They were willing to run their star quarterback. Michigan was unwilling to run their young star quarterback. I think it was a stat I tweeted in the mid-third quarter. Mateer just scored his second touchdown. He had 11 rushes for 40 yards and 2 touchdowns, right? He was able to be their goal line back. He made plays down in the red zone. Underwood didn't even have a rush at that point in the game. I think he ended up with 2 or 3 at the end of the game, but that's just not enough with a guy with his skill set. He could really open things up. I think running the ball and passing the ball, if he just goes out there, you have to hold him accountable because he just brings so much to the table. That's what made him the number 1 consensus player coming out of high school. Not just because he could throw, because he can run. And we've seen it. We've seen him do it at the high school level, and I believe he can do it at the collegiate level. So it was just something you just would like to have been able to see more of that today.
Yeah, listen, it's the second game.
Right.
They're obviously still figuring it out how to use it. And I get why you don't throw caution to the wind. I'm saying there is no choice moving forward. They're gonna have to choose one.
Right.
Because it's a copycat game, and teams are gonna choose how they're gonna defend them. Now every team is not gonna have the personnel that Oklahoma has. I'm just saying other teams that have good defensive personnel are gonna say, all right, unless you prove that you can beat us with guys on the outside, this is how we're going to come up and play you aggressively. So Michigan is going to have some decisions to make. Hey, are you going to use your quarterback in the run game to balance the equation, or are you going to let him rip it? Are you going to let him throw it some more? They got some decisions to make as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, I think another telling stat you mentioned, Justice, his big 75-yard touchdown run. I mean, their 3 touchdown runs have all been big gainers in these first 2 weeks, but you're not seeing the chunk 5-6 yard runs. It's been some big plays, and that's great. We're not downplaying those at all, but we're not seeing those consistent 5-6 yard chunk plays. We're not seeing, and that's where you're seeing these drives stall. They made it across OU's territory 6 times, and to only You know, they didn't even score a touchdown out of any of those possessions. They got their touchdown on a 75-yard run. So they're just not getting that production. So that's something they're going to need to work on a lesser opponent next week.
Right. And
Get
see
that consistency
and
and
that's
work
why
on that.
that's where I think Mateer running the football was so key. I
Yeah.
think he was really instrumental in keeping them in manageable down and distance situations with his ability running the football, or the threat of him running the football
Mm-hmm.
was really instrumental in doing that. Now, he, make no mistake, he made some big throws and throwing down the football field, and to that extent, I think Michigan is going to have to try to take more shots as well. I mean, he's, you know,
he's a gunslinger.
Part of that is having guys, you know, having guys who can get open down the football field. I mean, is it that you don't have guys that are getting open down the football field, or is it that you aren't taking the shots? You know, that remains to be seen too. That's a question, but you know, the opportunity in these in the Central Michigan game is going. You feel like it's going to be there. So I don't think that it's a nothing against a lesser opponent to be putting that on tape. I think it's meaningful against an opponent like that to be putting up deep shots against that type of team. I don't think it's to be. I don't think it's lost a lost thing to say, hey, you know what, guys? Hey, let's try to put 50 points on the board against Central Michigan. I think they should.
Yeah, you got. I mean, it's just all about building confidence and getting that continuity, right? They just said they weren't. It wasn't working today, right? They didn't execute. They emphasized that in the post-game presser. We didn't execute. We knew what we wanted to do. We just didn't execute. They need to see that. They need to see execution. They need to see not only a big play, like big plays, but they need to see a 12-play drive that goes in for a touchdown next week. They got to get that positive reinforcement. See some, like you said, 50 points would go a long way for this team. I see another similar production line of what we saw in week 1 against New Mexico. Balanced attack, 200 on both sides, rushing, passing, something like that, 400, 500 yards. I mean, 500 plus, that's what you really want to see. That means you're doing something right.
Yeah. Yeah, so the lacking of consistency, I think we really hit all the points that I wanted to hit. Can't be as conservative with Bryce. Got to use him. Either use him in the run game or let it rip in the passing game. Let him throw it, 30 plus times. But make a decision. Make a decision and say, hey, we're going to be aggressive with him in one aspect or the other to try to get some more consistency out of the offense, because I think maybe the long run plays can mask some consistency deficiencies, if that makes sense. Right?
Absolutely.
So
absolutely. So
they,
I mean,
they need that. They need that.
Well, hey, Sam, it's only week 2, and
It is
a non-conference opponent. This is I didn't. We all felt a lot worse after the Texas game last year, right? This one is like, okay, you take it on the chin. They're still in this game for as I felt like, you could have had a bigger lead, right? We all feel that way. You go and look at the stats, the amount of first downs that Oklahoma had. Hey, you get out of here. You still had a chance in the fourth quarter. It just didn't work. Learn from this. Have a good week of practice as they get ready for Central, and then it's Nebraska in 2 weeks. There's a long season ahead of us, folks.
They got some work to do. We got to get to the defense, because we talked about last week the coverage and how loose they were in coverage, and they really took advantage of Michigan in zone. Now he gave them one. The interception he threw to Metcalf, he sailed it, and that's kind of the book. He had some accuracy issues, and he sailed one ball right to him. There was another play to get kind of to what we talked about a little bit earlier. How, man, if you took advantage of some of your opportunities, some of the balls they just didn't squeeze. Like when the ball hits you in the hands, you got to pick those off, and they didn't capitalize on those opportunities. But again, it would mask some of the deficiencies. Guys were running open in zone all night long. And so Michigan was having coverage busts all night long. You're not early in the game, you're in cover 2 and you're not rerouting the guy. And you're letting the guy run wide open. And that happened twice on the first couple of drives.
Yeah.
You know, these are things that you were seeing early in last season, or they call like an all-out blitz late in the game. It's a third down. I think it was like third and 7 or 3rd and 8.
Guys
And
wide
you
open.
get off the field. Like, you gotta get off the field. I know there were probably some people like, why are we going all out blitz right now? And you want, I think the strategy was you want him to get rid of the ball right now. But you had a bust on the play. So it wasn't even that you were looking for him he's got to pick the right receiver. Like, I think Herb Street said, hey, he's got to pick the hot or something like that. I mean, they weren't leaving a guy open. That's not what was going to happen. There was supposed to be, the front was supposed to have the back on the play, and the end didn't peel off. The end didn't peel off with the back. It was a bust. I mean, it was just a flat out bust. And so to me, you're seeing some things in these first two games that were eerily similar to what happened in the early games last year. Like, where there's just some misses and some busts kind of in the early phase or early part of the season that they just got to tighten up and clean up. It's tough to have injuries at the thinnest position on the defense. At corner, that's the worst position to have an injury. You got to hope that the injury to Zeke is not serious, because, boy, you talk about depth concerns.
Yeah.
And that you got to wish him back and hope him back quick, fast, and in a hurry. You could probably sustain that for the Central Michigan game, but you want him back for that road tilt at Nebraska. So hopefully that's not a serious injury. And then they got to clean up. They got to tighten up in that secondary and just play better football. If they can play better football in the secondary, I think that'll really help them up front, where, if they can wrap up better, that's part of it. And then give that pressure some more time to get home, because guys are running wide open. And if you guys are running wide open, then boom, he can just get rid of the ball real quick, because guys are like that.
It seemed early on that Mateer was just, they had a couple 3rd and long situations, and Mateer was just able to find a wide open receiver at the back end of the defense. He did that a couple times there in those first couple drives, and then like you mentioned, all out blitz, and the guy just didn't peel off. Right, the DN didn't peel off, and the running back was wide open. I mean, it felt like you just had a lot of these blown coverages, and Mateer just was able to have some of these plays where you're just like, wow, the guy's wide open. Mm-hmm. Anybody could have made those throws, but then some of them, I didn't feel like Michigan got pressure early, but they were starting to get to Mateer in the second half a little. But then, he still, even though they got a couple sacks,
because
he still made plays with his feet. He still bought them time, and he made some incredible throws. You got to live with the good, with the bad, with Mateer, because, like you mentioned, he sailed a couple passes, but man, he slings it. He's a gunslinger, so he's going to throw it down the field, and he makes plays. So that's what I think the big difference was. OU was willing to let their guy, and they were willing to live with the results of him going out and making plays. Where, like, I felt like they held the reins back on Bryce when they needed to do the same thing with their guy.
Yeah. To your earlier point, Wink started dialing up the pressure.
Yeah.
And the pressure got home a couple of times, and they didn't wrap up.
Right.
And it's like, man, I mean, there's not much more you can do. Like, you gotta.
You had the right play call, they just didn't execute. Right?
Yeah.
But then it goes back to that word.
Yeah. On one hand, you credit Mateer for being able to break the tackle, but it's like, man, you got to bring that guy down when you got him dead to rights, and he breaks the tackle and makes a throw down the field. It's like, oh man, insult to injury. And they score a touchdown. Like, you gotta be able to make those plays. You can't do much more. You can't draw it up much better than the pressure actually gets home. So,
and then ultimately comes down to, like we hit on, Mateer was the best player on the field today, and he really showed out. I know we always make the jokes about September Heisman. I mean, you would have to say after today, he's the front runner, right? It's early, it's week 2, so it doesn't really mean anything at this point. But he's off to a great start, and this was a big win on prime time. The whole country was watching, and he made the plays needed to win this game.
Yeah. So I mean, listen, Justice Haynes is a ball player.
Yes.
I think we can see that through a couple of games. Cole Sullivan keeps showing up as a guy, as a dude. I think you got to like that. I keep calling Cam Brandt's name. I think you got to appreciate what he's bringing here early in the season. Just guys that you keep noticing with this team is dudes who are flashing and making plays kind of consistently. That all right, you trying to find the things that you can build on, right? And as far as Bryce is concerned, this is valuable experience. This is a tough day, tough outing. I think there are things that they can do to help him though. Right? Like I said, I do think for as much as he had some opportunities, I saw somebody in the chat say, "Oh, well, he missed the guy down the field." Okay, yeah, he did. I mean, those opportunities, right, he would love to have back, but I think it's about repetition. I mean, you don't have a lot of shots. When you get one, your eyes get big. That's not an excuse. He's got to hit them to the point. He's got to hit them when they're there. But like when you get very few, and when you get one, and it's like, oh man, and he got excited and kind of it got away from him. My point is, give him more. Just give him more opportunities. The more opportunities you give him, the better he'll get at hitting them at the end of the day. Because you saw Mateer miss some.
Yeah, he did.
He missed some. And
you got to live with it.
He kept getting shots. He kept getting shots. And then guess what? The more shots he got, the more shots he hit. That's how it works.
All right.
That's how
you got to let him make plays.
So get a man more shots. Give more shots. And it doesn't necessarily have to be passes. Get more shots in the run game. I think that's just gonna help this offense. It'll help the running game. It'll help the offensive line, which is tough. I didn't think that this was an offensive line that was gonna match up with this defensive line mano a mano. This is one of the best defensive lines in the country. If you thought that this offensive line with the you got some new faces in there, some guys that are making their third or fourth starts and that kind of thing against All-American in one stretch, one ranking has it the number 1 defensive line in the country. If you thought they were just going to come in and bowl them over, I don't know what you were looking at. I think it was going to be a strategic battle if it was going to balance the equation. This is why I was saying, hey, your quarterback can help balance that equation, right? Some +1 running, right? That would be one way that maybe you could slow them down that way or get a numbers advantage that way to maybe balance it. And it just, it obviously didn't work out that way. So moving forward, like I said, as a staff, I think they have some strategic answers to find to kind of help their offensive line out, especially if Gio is hurt for any extended period. We'll have to see how it goes. So
I think you said it all, Sam. Well, I think that's going to wrap up our coverage here from Norman, Oklahoma. It's been a pleasure as always. Next day, stay tuned on the Michigan Insider, but that's going to wrap it up.
Yeah, hey man, you got an improvement game. You come home, and hopefully they can get some act right against Central Michigan and really use it to improve some things before they got to go on the road against Nebraska, a team that is really going to be itching to knock them down. And that's not going to be it's going to be the environment's going to be a lot like the one they just played in.
Oh, it's going to be very similar. So hey, at least they got a tune-up game. No Sharon Moore next Saturday. But we already knew that was happening. It's going to be an interesting week. But, hey, they got a lot of things to work on. But it's good. It's a good week to play Central Michigan.
Absolutely. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching our post game. We'll see you next week.
All right.